Pay attention to the woman coming out of her car in this footage. It was recorded in Lawrenceville, Georgia, on July 8, 2011. This is 44-year-old mother of three, Nikki Liley. It might look like any normal evening being captured by her husband's security system, but this footage hides a disturbing secret. Mere hours after it was recorded, Nikki disappeared, and somehow, none of the 21 security cameras hidden in and around the house managed to film what might have happened to her on this fateful night. All the police were able to recover was this haunting, half-corrupted audio recording.
Get the you not touch me! Oh, get off me! Get up! You stop! Let me go! Now!
15 years earlier, in January 1996, 5-year-old Alex was living with her then-single mother, Nikki, in Athens, Georgia. Over the course of her short life, she has already witnessed her parents' divorce and her mother trying her luck with online dating.
I don't know that my parents were ever meant to be together. My dad dropped out of high school at 9th grade and made his way working through the world, and she was getting her master's degree, and so their lives were on different paths. Everything had been dark and hard with the divorce and being a single mom, so that just kind of was a light place for her to fall.
In the chat rooms, Nikki meets Matthew Liley, a charismatic and tech-savvy New Yorker. After dating online for a while, he moved in with her in Georgia. 2 years later, Nikki's second daughter, Amanda, was on the way, and on February 14th, 1998, the couple tied the knot.
It was kind of like one of those love stories that we would tell our friends, like, oh, they got engaged and married on Valentine's Day. My parents always seemed really happy. It definitely seemed like we were doing really well.
But away from her young sister's eyes, Alex is going through a tough time living with their father. The man treats her differently from his own daughter, constantly mocking and verbally abusing her. But Alex wasn't the kind to let anyone walk over her.
Like my mother, I have a temper, and it becomes this blurting anger. Screw you, you're a blah, blah, bleep, 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 bleep. I can honestly say there's never a point in my life where I truly cared or liked him.
As if this wasn't enough, their relationship went from bad to worse, and Matthew decided to wire the entire house after Amanda's bike was stolen from under their porch. 21 cameras in total, some inside the house, some even recording audio.
It was very uncomfortable all of the time. You know, he had a camera in the living room that faced the couch, so if you wanted to sit down and watch TV, you were being monitored.
It wasn't just surveillance, it was recording the entire time.
It didn't seem odd for me to have cameras around the house. It was always kind of cool because my dad would be checking the camera footage from the night before and be like, oh, Amanda, get in here. There were deer in the front yard last night.
Following the wiring of the house, somehow, Matthew convinced himself that Guy was having an affair.
I just remember there was a point where they started arguing almost every night, and I'd be waking up a lot more. My mom would be yelling, she'd throw stuff, she'd scream and swear.
I'm not listening to the accusations anymore. I'm not listening to any more of your to the get the out of my way. Get out!
This situation was difficult for the three sisters, especially for Alex, who had endured Matthew's obnoxious behavior for years now. At 16 years old, she decided she had enough and packed her bags to go live with her biological father.
Alex told us, I'm not going to live here anymore, I'm moving out. I remember kind of just all three of us just crying.
All I could think about was, I'm leaving my mom, I'm leaving my mom.
But with Alex out of the picture, the situation worsened for Nikki, as Matthew, convinced she was hiding something, began spying on her.
I'm recording my wife. I've got a tracker on her.
And with this, Nikki finally reached her limit.
She called me up and she just said, that's it. I'm tired of all the mistrust. I'm done. I hate my husband. My marriage is over.
2 weeks later, Amanda heard her parents screaming at each other in the middle of the night.
Then eventually she'd kind of just storm out. And then I woke up the next morning and Mom wasn't there.
Matthew declared Nikki missing on July 11th and explained his theory concerning her whereabouts to Amy, Nikki's sister, and the officers.
Maybe she has run off with somebody, who knows? She made all the money. Maybe she was socking away money in a secret account that he didn't know anything about, and she took off.
For the following days, Matthew stuck to his story and added new details, painting Nikki in a bad light. This didn't make sense to Amy and Alex.
Matt said she's been having breakdowns and she's been just kind of losing her mind.
My mother was the farthest thing from crazy you could get.
2 weeks went by without much investigation and no media coverage, until Alex had an idea. If they organized a massive search party, the news would be forced to cover her mother's disappearance.
Frankly, grown woman having left her house wasn't that interesting a story. Well, 100 people getting together all wearing red shirts, so there's an interesting story, so they covered that.
And we met at the Walmart near her neighborhood. 100 plus people came.
15 minutes after the search started, as the news crew started rolling, a piercing scream came from the woods.
Linda, we were just about to interview the missing woman's sister when we started hearing screaming coming out of just inside of those woods.
And I blacked out. I just remember hitting the ground. But as soon as I came to, I took off running. And I ran all the way to where the crime scene tape was.
You can't, baby. He waited 2 days to even report her missing. And he told me that they'd had a huge fight and that, she wasn't well and that she'd been having breakdowns and stuff. But I saw her 2 weeks ago and she was fine.
And I'm just praying it's not her, but if it is, then I know she's with God. She's with her Jesus.
We're going to be roping this whole area off.
Investigators are talking with Liley's husband and searching the couple's home, but police say he is not a suspect.
Even Amy, who was extremely close to Nikki, didn't suspect her husband. On the contrary, his calm demeanor and focus on sheltering his young daughter seemed honorable at the time.
Matt's attitude about it was keep everything calm and keep the girls from, being panicked about their mom being gone. He was trying to protect them.
We didn't really know what happened to her. We were just told she was found dead.
Immediately after Nikki's body was found, authorities put Sergeant Richter, District Attorney Jones, and Detective Everson in charge of the case. The three were then sent to examine the scene of the discovery.
When I saw her laying there in the ground, in the elements, the heat of July, underneath a pile of leaves, naked, I couldn't accept it.
The detectives were surprised to find two major clues from the autopsy report. 1. Nikki's feet were completely clean, indicating that she didn't walk to the forest and was likely dropped there. 2. The presence of drugs in her blood.
She tested positive for an abnormal level of gamma-hydroxybutyric acid, which is commonly known as GHB, which is called the date rape drug. Did somebody give Nikki Liley this drug in order to overpower her or ultimately to kill her?
Detective Everson took it upon himself to look into Matthew, who still wasn't a suspect at the time. When he learned that the man had a full security system at his disposal, filming in and outside the house 24/7, the detective went to the Lileys to see what he could find.
I'd never seen anything like this in somebody's house before. I realized that this could be a gold mine of evidence because it showed every vantage point you could from leaving the house.
But sadly, it wouldn't be that easy. On the contrary, after copying over Matt's hard drive, Everson realized that over 500,000 video files were on it. Eventually, Everson found something. But this discovery left the detective with more questions than answers.
I finally found one July the 8th, the night of Nikki's disappearance. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I've got the right block, and no matter how much I looked, I didn't find anything else past that point, shortly after midnight. That is the last footage we had of Nikki.
48 hours of footage were missing. The cameras were only turned back on after Matthew had declared Nikki missing. Naturally, this tipped off the detective.
That was a little odd. For there to be a whole weekend of footage missing, that seemed to indicate there was something to hide.
After 7 months of investigation and no hard evidence to arrest him, the detective dropped the case and presented his findings to his sergeant, John Richter, who decided to take over the case himself.
He literally started over so that he could see if there's anything that anybody might have missed.
Richter sent all of the computer equipment and copies they received from Matthew to his department's digital forensic team. Eventually, they came back with some restored data from the computer. They uncovered a folder named Fights, containing thousands of audio clips. Similar to the video Everson had looked into, none of them were identified in any way. So for almost 2 years, the sergeant and the DA dug through the seemingly endless records of arguments between Nikki and Matthew, captured by the latter.
He would talk to her for 6 hours. He would bring her into her room and discuss whatever rules he had in place that she was breaking.
Let the record show I am now locked in a room again. I don't want to be here. I don't want to have this conversation. I'm asked out of it.
The records show that she's being an absolute...
When they eventually finished going through the audio files, the pair had found multiple incriminating clips. To the murder accusation they planned to charge Matthew with, the district attorney added eavesdropping, illegal surveillance, and sexual assault.
There was evidence on the recordings that he was physically abusing her, and he was getting more and more frustrated, and he was getting more and more violent.
Get the you not touch me. Oh, get off me. Get off. You stop. Let me go. Now.
As the evidence kept piling up, the police still had nothing concerning the murder. That's when Richter had an idea. He asked the digital forensic team to virtually rebuild Matthew's surveillance system and locate where he would log his daily activities. Once they found it, they were able to determine what he had been doing with his computer in the days surrounding Nikki's disappearance. Written there, clear as day, were 2 heavily incriminating operations. On the day Matthew reported her missing, and the day she was found, Matthew deleted dozens of video and audio recordings from his computer.
In order to do the deletion of the files, you had to be an individual that knew a password to the system. We knew that Matt Liley deleted the footage off the surveillance camera. We had enough evidence to charge Matt Liley with the murder of his wife.
At this point, 4 years had passed since Nikki's body was discovered, and Amanda, Rebecca, and Matthew had been away from Georgia for a while. In an ironic twist, Matthew came back to Georgia to claim Nikki's life insurance money. As he was walking out of the building, he came face to face with Sergeant Richter, waiting for him with an arrest warrant.
The look on his face when we placed the cuffs on him and tell him he's under arrest, it's just a great feeling.
I grabbed my phone and looked it up, and I'm like, holy my dad was just arrested.
This is a prepaid collect call from
Matt.
an inmate at Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department.
Okay, listen to me very carefully. Make sure you tell people we have set up a YouTube channel to tell you the truth about what happened in our home. Daddy's now in jail because of these false allegations. It's time we tell the truth.
Yes, sir.
Unaware of the evidence accumulated against her father, Amanda created a YouTube channel called Nikki Liley's Kids Speak Out.
Finally time for us to tell the truth and for us to call them out on their lies.
It breaks my heart, to be completely honest. You know, they said some hateful things about our family. They painted our mom like someone she really wasn't.
As angry as I had been with them because, you know, they had posted those YouTube videos, I knew where it was all coming from. I knew that they had been manipulated.
The way my dad put it to us was they're trying to take us away from him, but we still 100% believed that he was innocent.
As the date of the trial approached, Matthew began exposing Amanda to things no 14-year-old girl should ever have to deal with in preparation for his session.
He would make me listen to all the recordings of him and my mom arguing, and I would have to take notes on them.
Lower your voice!
Traumatized by what she was hearing, but still under the influence of her father's manipulation, Amanda was at a crossroads. Either she continued to help him, wishing he was honest when he told her that, even though he and Nikki had their share of fights and issues, he wasn't the one who killed her. Or she could refuse and end up alone, rejected by both sides of her family for her inaction. Lost, she attempted to convince her dad to leave her out of this.
Whenever I would ask him, like, why can't your lawyer do this? He would just say, don't you love me? Don't you want me to come home? You're the only one I can trust to do this.
Crushed by the pressure her dad put her under and the unbearable loneliness she was going through without the support of her family, Amanda resigned and accepted to be her father's key witness at the upcoming trial.
Like, I still love him. Like, he's my dad, and I have good memories of him. It's just really hard to think of, like, my dad as doing something like that. It was kind of just constantly feeling guilty. So I was just kind of felt like I was alone.
On January 27, 2016, Matthew's trial began.
They'd be arguing and he would end up locking her in a bathroom. She'd been shoved downstairs. There were several nights that I would lay up at night and listen to her say, "Please get off of me, you're hurting me."
Amanda flew all the way from Vermont to take the stand for her father.
She was pacing back and forth saying that she was hearing voices, and like the voices in her head were telling her that people were talking bad about her.
But Jones wasn't afraid to call into question the young teenager's reliability.
We made our own decision. We don't like that side of the family, so we want to stay away. It's not him forcing us to stay away from them.
The fact that Amanda immediately mentioned her father when Jones cast doubt upon her raised a few eyebrows in the courtroom. Her defensive testimony, when added to all the circumstantial evidence gathered by Richter and Jones, only amplified the jury's impression that Matthew was a master manipulator ready to push anyone to get what he wanted, even his own daughter.
He murdered her in that house, in that room, when he had his way with her.
Prosecutor Jones let the victim's own words fill the courtroom just before jurors were given the case.
You telling me you should have killed me, putting your hands around my throat?
I should have let you kill. Why should I bother being the one to do it?
After over 3 hours of deliberation, the jury declared Matthew guilty of malice murder, felony murder, illegal surveillance, and eavesdropping.
Nikki Liley's family looked shocked and cried as that verdict came down in a short 3.5 hours from when the jury began deliberations.
As soon as I heard guilty, I probably squeezed her hand so hard I'm surprised it didn't break. So it's just so like, did he just say guilty? Did he say guilty? Are you sure?
What ultimately convinced the jury, on top of the deletion of footage and the audio clips, was the story uncovered by Jones that put all the pieces together.
Matt Liley and Nikki, they did go out that evening. They came back shortly after midnight. Do I think he drugged her? I do. I think he gave her the GHB. He just wanted to absolutely gain control over her. Why did he do it? Because she was leaving him. Based on his controlling personality, he wasn't going to let her leave. If I can't have you, no one will.
Following the sentencing, Alex was saddened by Amanda's refusal to make peace.
We had lost not only Nikki, but both of them too.
They were my girls. I still love them to this day. Taught them how to read, got them ready for school in the morning. I would love to have a relationship with them again. I don't know that that day will ever come, but I want them to know my door's always open.
Away from her father's influence, Amanda eventually took back control of her own thoughts and was able to reevaluate the situation. She saw that her father deleted the footage of that night. There was no way around it. Even though she loved him, Amanda had to face the truth once and for all.
And then once I started feeling like he wasn't innocent, I was kind of almost disowned in a way. Then I just started crying. And like that was the first time I had really started crying in years about like my mom and my dad and everything that was going on.
In the wake of this cathartic experience, Amanda reached out to her long-lost sister.
Now that we've rekindled a relationship, it has been incredible. Last year I went up to help Amanda move into her dorm for the first time. And when I got on the plane, I bawled like a baby because I said I wasn't supposed to do that.
Now that like I've reconnected with my mom's side of the family, like I'm able to think about her a lot more now, and I definitely feel like she'd be proud of who I am. I feel like if I was able to speak to her, just tell her how much I miss her.
For everybody who knew her, Nikki was always considered to be a fighter, a fierce woman with ambition and a tenacious personality. But as strong as she was on the outside, she was secretly suffering at home, proving that abuse can happen to anyone, as so many of its victims are suffering in silence. To honor her memory, Amanda, Alex, Amy, and Rebecca want every victim of abuse to know that there is always a way out.
There's this shame that goes along with being a victim of abuse. You are not the person who's done anything wrong. The abuser is who's wrong. You are worthy of love and respect. Make sure to tell someone you're not alone.